The discussion group is the tool that I most commonly use in asynchronous courses. There are lots of other nice tools out there for conducting synchronous discussions, in particular Blackboard Collaborate, but when you want a discussion spread out over an extended period of time, and mine are usually a week, the Canvas discussion group is the way to go. The topics we'll talk about are the types of discussions that you can create, the various settings that you want for a discussion group, whether you want them graded or ungraded, and some of the other key settings. And finally, the process of grading discussions, which is another area where Canvas really excels over any other tool that I have used. There are really only two key decisions that you need to make when creating a discussion on Canvas. The first is whether you're going to have it graded or ungraded. Graded forums are essentially exercises, just like any other assignment. Ungraded are usually things like help systems. Threaded versus unthreaded has to deal with the way the different posts are grouped. In a threaded discussion, everyone replies to specific posts, and when the discussion is displayed, it's less the order in which replies have been made than the specific posts that they're replying to that determines the overall order. In a non-threaded discussion or a conversational discussion, you simply have one layer of posts, one after another. So what we're going to do now is we're going to end up creating a couple of different types of discussions just as examples of the two. And when I do that, I'll go over the various parameters that you need to set. A good example of a situation that would involve an unthreaded graded discussion would be the exercise 2.1 in the workshop, where I ask each of you to create a personal presentation. So what I will do is create that exercise for you within the course shell. And so we'll start by adding. We'll choose a discussion, new topic, and the name we'll give the topic is Faculty Introductions. We will then add the item. So now we see the discussion topic, but we have to go in and edit it to define it. And we come in and edit. And what I am going to do now is paste the assignment instructions in, and then maybe clean them up a little bit. Okay. I think I'll switch from a heading font to a paragraph and bold it. The heading fonts tend to give a lot of space. All right, let's just save this and see what it looks like. And then we'll go back and re-edit the elements of it. Okay, that looks reasonable. So what I will now do is I will now go in and re-edit it. We'll just talk a little bit about some of the different settings. Now, I would argue that this particular discussion is not one that we want threaded, because the idea of the discussion group here is to create an area where each person posts their own presentation. And because each person is posting their own presentation, we're not inviting comments on everyone's presentation. And so essentially having the discussion basically consist of one layer of posts seems to make more sense than the threaded discussion where people are constantly responding to each other. If I click users must post before seeing replies, what that does is it basically forces students to do their own work before seeing what everyone else did. I mean, that's self-explanatory. In an assignment like this, as a graded assignment, I might conceivably do that, but I think from the whole that students benefit from seeing the work of others, and since everyone's self-introduction is going to be unique, I think it might be better to leave this unchecked. Enable podcast feed. I haven't actually been able to get this one to work properly. I believe what it does is it consolidates all the posts with embedded audio or video, and then you should be able to send that to a podcast reception area such as iTunes. It is not the same as an RSS feed. I was not able to get it to work on Explorer just for regular posts, so I'm going to leave that one off. And then I will call this one graded. I'll give a point of 1 just to indicate people have done it. Obviously, for the faculty workshop, this is irrelevant. When I grade discussions in my classes, I usually scale them 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And I give reasonably good guidelines to the students regarding what I am looking for. So we'll leave this in the assignment group assignments. Now, if you click this as a group assignment, what will happen is that each group in your group set will have its own discussion group. And if you were to do that, and we're not going to do this, we don't actually have any groups on this particular course, so I'm not going to do that. But if we were to do that, then you'd want to assign grades to each student individually. Otherwise, as soon as you assign 1 grade to the discussion, everybody in the same group gets the same grade. And require peer reviews basically will cause people to review each other's discussion performance. Again, I don't normally use peer reviews on a discussion assignment. I would be more inclined to use it in an assignment where they submit something. Because in the discussion assignment, what you're really trying to do is get interaction. So with this, I'm not going to assign a due date or anything like that, but we'll now save that. And now what we've got is a discussion where people will be able to post the presentations according to the instructions. And so if I come over to modules now, we should see this in our module 2 where I put it, faculty introductions. And then I can publish it so that it's accessible. Now, another type of discussion that we might want to have would be a threaded discussion, which can either be graded or ungraded. When I do case discussions, for example, I have graded threaded discussions. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an ungraded threaded discussion, basically a forum for asking questions about the course. And so I'm going to stick that in getting started. So we'll come up with a discussion. Again, I have to select new topic because I don't want the faculty introductions there again. And we'll call that questions about the course. I will add the item here. And then I will go into this and edit it. Okay, so I'll come in and edit. All right, so I did is I tried to post a message here that would not be uh, too discouraging to people. So post your questions about the course here. Feel free to respond to the posts of your colleagues if you know the answer or want to clarify that question. I can tell you when you have a Q&A forum, it is great when students come in and participate in the forum. I had one class where I had a couple of folks, an undergraduate class, who were so active in posting to the question and answer forum that I practically never had to get involved. And both of them actually ended up becoming TAs of mine in subsequent semesters of the class. Now, this is clearly a situation where we would like to have threaded replies, because if you have a series of questions, someone might come in 3 days later and post a response. And if you don't know what question a response is in relation to, you're going to have no idea what it means. And this is especially true in some of the forums that I run, the graded forums, where it's not unusual for me to have 100 posts. In a forum like this, it makes no sense to make people post before seeing replies. Again, the podcast feed doesn't seem that useful. And we would not want this to be graded. This is a question and answer forum. So I will now save. And we can see the questions about the course forum is there. I will now publish it just so that it's available. And just as an aside, as you can see, I'm creating each of these things in the various modules. And for this reason, there'd be no reason for the students to have a discussions option on their menu. It's much better to have them go to the modules, because when you click on the discussions module, what you get is essentially a list of all the discussions, pinned and unpinned, closed for comments, and so forth. These numbers here, by the way, indicate how many unread posts there are and how many total replies. So this is a good way of discovering whether or not you need to go in and look at things. The last topic under discussions that I have to cover is using the Speedgrader to grade discussions. Now, this is obviously sensitive on a video because I don't want to show student names. Fortunately, I'm able to hide the student names using this menu. And then when we go into the actual discussion itself, what I'm going to do is use Camtasia's ability to blur names so we won't have to see them. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to go into the Speedgrader. And this first student did not actually make a contribution to the discussion. And so as a result, what I did was I sent him a message indicating that he had not in fact made a contribution. We can then go up and click onto the next student. And this is a more typical thing. I gave this individual a 4 out of 5. But he only gave 2 posts, so it wasn't as strong as necessary for a 5. This particular student got a 5. What I was looking for in the posts was I was looking for evidence of interaction with other students, which this individual did, and I was also looking for a spread of times. And this guy posted on the 15th and the 17th, so he was in fact involved in the discussion. And this would be an example of the type of thing that I would do when I was grading. You can in fact make comments that will be available to students when you grade them, video as well as audio. This is just like any other use of the grade book. You can also send a comment to everyone in the discussion if you see a lot of things that need to be added. And that's useful when you have multiple groups doing discussions, because you may have different comments for different groups. But with the Speedgrader and the ability to cover discussions, you really have a tremendous ability to use this type of assignment without the huge workload that it used to be in course tools like Blackboard.